please tell us who is an ideal candidate for interview. In the sense like, please provide complete interview tips whenever
Sure.
you do interviews and all, especially
Mm.
for ServiceNow.
Yeah, definitely. So interview tips, right? Okay. So, I mean, these days, a lot of interviews are happening remotely. So it's via
Okay.
Teams or Zoom. So I think the number one thing really is to make sure you've got a solid internet connection, because there's nothing worse than having an interview and it just not working. Um, Especially where roles are remote as well and they expect you to kind of work from home. That's really important. So yeah, just make sure you've got really stable internet connection. That's number one. But also I think, it's they always say it's the people make a judgment in the first 30 seconds, who are
Okay.
you, what are you about, and they do that visually, right? As much as like society we say don't judge a book by its cover, people do. It's just natural
Yeah.
human instinct. So just make sure you're smart. Okay, make sure you dress smart, make sure your hair is neat, your clothes are appropriate for the role. I mean, I always say to everybody having an interview, it's like dress as if you're having a client meeting, because
Right.
that is what the employer is going to look for. They're going to look for, okay, how do you present yourself? Because tomorrow, when I put you in front of my client, the way you look, the way you dress, well, that's how you're going to look in front of them. So
Right.
that's why it's really important to kind of dress appropriately for as if you're going to a client meeting for the first time. You want to make a good impression. But yeah, I think, definitely it's like prepare. There's a lot of stuff on the internet. You could just type in Google like interview questions.
Right.
So then, people kind of have standard questions that they ask, like what's been your biggest challenge, what's your weakness, what are your strengths, why do you want to come and work for us? These are all questions that you could prepare in advance. And the why do you want to come and work for us question is really important, because companies will ask that to see how much research you've done on their company. Because somebody who says, oh, I don't know anything about your company, that is just a real red flag. So, even if you can
Right.
jot down some facts like, oh, well, I know your company has this revenue, you have offices in these many countries, and just give them some facts, they'll think, oh, okay, at least they've kind of done some research. LinkedIn is great tool as well, where you can look up the person that is interviewing you and do some research. So it's like when you're talking to them, at the beginning is always a little bit of chit chat, right, just to kind of calm the nerves. So what you can do is kind of say, oh, I see that you worked at a previous company, and yeah, and so then it brings some commonality, and they're like, oh, okay, this person is like interesting. And so it kind of, what they always say is when people are hiring, everybody has very similar skill set, so then they're
Right.
choosing you on your personality. And don't forget, the employers, they're choosing you because they're thinking, can I work with this person 8 hours a day, 5 days a week? Can I do that? And it's like the likability factor. If they like you, they'll say, we'll look to hire you. So yeah, definitely I would say do your research, prepare, never go into an interview blind, and smile. The body language should be like
Right.
straight and confident. And even it happens in interviews, you get nervous and you forget, especially if they're asking a technical question and you forget. If you forget something, just be honest and just say, look, you know what, I do know this, but my mind has just gone blank, I'm really apologize, can we come back to this? Um or if you don't know the answer to something, just be honest and just say, look,
Exactly.
I'm really sorry, I don't know the answer to this one. But what I would do in a work situation, if this happened in real life, I would go and ask a colleague, I'd look on the internet, I'll try and find out the answer and then try and figure it out. And if not, I'd sort of come to you for help. So at least it's showing them that your steps on how you would answer that. So, but yeah, at all times you should always be honest as well. So
Great, great. Amazing tips. The examples or the tips which you have shared, you cannot find these things on Google or somewhere else, but directly coming from you, it's amazing, and people must be benefited by this. Thank you so much
yeah,
for sharing.
that's okay, no problems.